Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys our RoDL Week 5 battle against Windmill and his Panama Latias. Very nice guy from the few interactions I've had with him. I don't know if he uploads off the top of my head, but if he does, I will definitely be linking his stuff in the description below. So definitely go check him out, drop a like on his video, say hi, say hey, OGalbina sent me. You're pretty dope. All that good stuff. Spread some positivity and some love. I'd really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. Helps me out, pushes me in the algorithm, just as does leaving comments. So we're actually going to start doing, maybe little comment questions of the day for those of you who watch the Team Builders. I know a lot of you guys might skip past them, but, we'll see who watches the Team Builders by doing this. So today's comment question of the day is, I'm curious, do you guys prefer post-com draft league battles or live-com draft league battles? And this is gonna kind of tie into today, in the sense that this battle is actually going to be a post-com. It's a very long battle, and there are a few kind of factors into why I decided to post-comming this one, which we'll talk about in the video. Don't worry, it's nothing bad. I didn't baby rage this time. I promised YouTube police that I didn't get mad and it wasn't a bad game or anything like that. I didn't get hacked out. But it was a very long game, and I felt like the commentary was a little bit lackluster. So we're doing a post-com this time. Let me know what you guys prefer. I talked about it in the actual battle, but I did used to do post-coms back in the day, and I've been doing live comps now. But let me know what you guys prefer and why. I personally prefer post-coms, to be completely honest, watching-wise. But with that being said, let's do the Team Builder finally. It's been a whole minute and a half. I apologize, I'm rambling. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So if you want to jump ahead to the actual battle, there's a timestamp on the screen right now, as well as in the description below. And let's do it. So our team, if you did forget, is at the top of the screen, and it consists of Necrozma, Hydreigon, Gengar, Suicune, Sylveon, Steelix, Aerodactyl, Heracross, and Leafeon, while our opponent's team is at the bottom of the screen, and it consists of Dragapult, Scizor, Slowbro, Chansey, Moltres, Nidoqueen, Rotom, Shiinotic, and Throw. Biggest threats to me: Pult, my Ghost Resist. My Ghost Resist is a Hydreigon. It's not very good when the Ghost Dual typing is Dragon. I am very, very Pult weak. I also do not have the Ghost immunity. So Spec Shadow Balls are very, very scary for me to deal with. I basically have Sylveon, and once that gets chipped down, I'm in a tough spot against Dragon Ball. Very, very tough spot. Willow Hex sets are very annoying with status spamming, because a lot of his Pokemon can spread status pretty freely, to be completely honest. So I am really, really scared about Dragon Ball. We're going to have to be very careful about that thing. Scizor SD sets can actually really run me. A choice band Scizor can also really, really run my cheeks once my Suicune gets chipped down and things like that. It's not hard to chip down. Suicune doesn't really get recover, slack off, or anything like that, so that's annoying. Slowbro is another absolute nuisance. I think Calm Mind Slowbro is actually very good versus me. Maybe like a Scald plus Ice Beam set can be very obnoxious for me to try and deal with over the course of the game. So we'll have to be careful about that. Chansey I'm not worried about. I think it's passive and bad, and I can kind of exploit it very easily in prep and play. Moltres, very annoying. I don't have good fire plus flying resist. It's Aerodactyl. That's not a good Moltres switch, and unfortunately. Same thing with Nidoqueen. I actually do not have good Nidoqueen to counterplay at all. It would be like a Fat Necross, where you see we're going with a really set up set. One that doesn't, morning set up, and let's face it, has to rely on rest for recovery. So we're going to have to be careful about that. Rotom, not too bad. I don't switch into it super well, but not a lot of teams do with its dual stabs. The only issue for me is if it's like a Trick Scarf step, and kind of deals with a lot of my setup that I'm trying to kind of exploit a lot of its fatter stuff with. But let's go ahead and jump into it. First, remember, like you guys can probably see, there is no Dark type on my opponent's team, which means Stored Power, Cosmic Power, Necrozma is here, and he is hopefully going to take home another dub for us like he did last week. Stored Power, Cosmic Power, Rest, and Sleep Talk. 244 HP, 28 Special Attack, and 236 Speed with a Timid Nature. EVs wise, we have enough speed for Nidoqueen, we have max HP, and then we have the rest of the special attack, so we can 3-8 KO a Chansey at +6/+6, just to save a little bit of PP. I didn't think the extra defense and SPDF really mattered. I'm going to take a sip of water. Don't yell at me if there's a little bit of a pause. Okay. But yeah, this set goes absolutely nuts, in my opinion. It really exploits his fat like Slowbro and Chansey. It exploits a Nidoqueen very well. It exploits a non-trick Rotom. I beat Moltres just in general. I can really bully the Dragon Ball too once I get healthy, boosted up enough, because there's a lot of things that can really annoyingly proc our weakness policy, but nothing that's doing enough damage, so I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't good. We have obviously Dragapult with its U-turns and its Ghost Stab. We have the Scizor once I'm boosted up enough, I can take a hit from that. We have like a Shadow Ball Slowbro, or something like that. We have a Shadow Ball Chansey, which might come because I think Chansey is sub Gengar fodder otherwise. I think it needs a way to break its sub, and if it can break Gengar sub, it can likely hit. It likely is going to hit New Crossman super effectively as well. If U-turn from Moltres, we have Foul Play from Rotom, we have like Knockoff from Throw. So lots of ways to proc our weakness policy and lots of ways to really boost up. If we get up to +6/+6 and then +2/+2 in both of our attacks, we pretty much OHKO and just nuke everything. We do have to weaken or get rid of Scizor and then make sure we're out of range of Dragon Ball. Other than that, we literally beat every other Pokemon on his team. Oh, and we have to make sure it's not Trick Rotom, like I said earlier. So very solid set in this matchup. I think it can definitely win if we position it. Next up, we have the aforementioned Gengar rocking out the Black Sludge, Levitate as its ability, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Nasty Claw, and Substitute. EV has got 68 HP, 4 defense, 220 special attack, and 212 speed with a modest nature. EV size, we have enough speed for Moltres. We kill max HP Scizor at +2, and then we have a lefty's HP number, plus the leftover and defense plus HP. HP plus defense, I guess would be a better way of putting it. Like I said, I think Chansey is really exploitable if it is not like Shadow Ball or a way to break my sub. I can kind of bully it with this Nasty Plot Focus Blast set with a sub. It can't Thunder Wave me behind a sub or anything like that. Now, the only annoying thing is if he's like Teleport and a Dragon Ball, because Dragon Ball's likely going to be infiltrating this matchup. I don't see why he would be Clear Body, and I don't see why he'd be Cursed Body at all either. So if it is going to be Infiltrator Bolt, we're going to have to switch out for behind a sub. Other than that, the only thing that takes a hit from this is Chansey. Everything on his team gets absolutely bullied by a +2 Gengar. We can also use something like a what do you call it? A Shiinotic to set up a sub, maybe a -2 Rotom. We can bully a Slowbro and switch out and go for a sub from that thing as well, which is really nice. And we can, really, really punish his team and really be an absolute nuisance, which is great, obviously. So, yep, that is going to be Gengar. Let's go ahead and jump into the next Pokemon, which is going to be our Choice Scarf Hydreigon, rocking out with obviously the Choice Scarf. Levitate is its ability, Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Flamethrower, and U-turn. EV's wise, got 92 HP, 220 special attack, and 196 speed with a modest nature. EV's wise, we outspeed Max, Timid, Pulp. I don't know this my opponent very well, so I don't know if they speed creep, how well they speed creep, things like that, or if they're really aggressive and they like to just go max to catch people off guard. So we're outspeeding Max, Timid, Pulp. We OHKO Slowbro after 2 spikes with our special attack, and then we have the rest in our in our HP. No, yeah, rest in our HP. Sorry, I was looking down at the next sprite. My bad. We have the rest in our HP just to take Slowbro hits a little bit better, take a little bit less from Seismic Toss, stuff like that. Yeah, this Pokemon is honestly kind of necessary to check the Drag Pull. I almost want Scarf Physical, but I wanted a way to reliably break down and bully that Slowbro, because my Gengar can do so, but it doesn't really switch in. Same thing with my Heracross. They don't switch into the Psychic Stab if it ends up coming. So I wanted Hydra to do so, which is obviously nice. And Flamethrower coverage great for things like Scizor. I'm not really beating Chansey with a physical set anyway, so I'm not super worried about it. I'd rather just catch that thing with a U-turn and get into my Heracross, or get into my Necrozma and start setting up and, really punish his team like that. So that's going to be Hydra. Next up, we have Sylveon, glue of the team, rocking out with the Pixelate ability leftovers as its item, Hyper Voice, Mystical Fire, Wish, and Protect. EV's wise, got 244 HP, 156 defense, and 108 Spadef with a bold nature. EV's wise, we live a Adamant Life Orb stealing from at +1 from the Dragon Bolt. So if it's DD Bolt, we will have a hit from it from full, from that stealing, which is again very, very nice. And then we have the rest of our Spadef to take hits as much as possible. We take Specs hits, we take fully maxed out Hex hits and stuff like that from Dragon Bolt just well, even if we're not specifically EVing for it, because Sylveon has a lot of special defense, which is great. But yeah, this is going to be the glue of the team. I really, really wanted to put Heal Bell over Mystical Fire. Really wanted to put Heal Bell over Mystical Fire, but I couldn't justify it because I think one of the biggest threats to my team is a Swords Dancing Scizor, and if I'm in a position where I don't need Sylveon anymore and that thing wants to set up in my face, I'm going to click Mystical Fire and I'm going to do a ridiculous amount of damage or pop it to Aqua Berry at the very least. So I figured that was a little bit more important in worst case scenario. Maybe I'll regret it if he goes a more status spamming route and things like that, but at the moment I think I'm fine with Mystical Fire over Heal Bell. Next up, we have Heracross, rocking out with the Flame Orb Guts as its ability, Close Combat, Knockoff, Mega Horn, and Spikes. EV's wise, it got 140 HP, 180 attack, and 188 speed with a jolly nature. This Pokemon claims a KO every time. Every time. Absolutely every time. As long as he doesn't go hard Dragon Ball on my Close Combat, I'm probably killing something. That and then Moltres maybe, but if I knock off the Moltres, it's not going to appreciate. It's going to take a lot of damage. It doesn't appreciate taking a Close Combat. even then. And it obviously has to worry about me having rock coverage, which I had originally, but I figured spikes were great in this game, really allowing me to wear down non-boots bros and scissors and dragapults, and especially Chansey, really punishing that thing for switching it down on all my special attackers, which is great. Knockoff is incredibly free this game, because I can pretty much always come in on Chansey, throw for free knockoff, and either knock off that thing's Eviolite, or knock off something, or something else that wants to keep its item. And if it's the Pult that comes in and it dies, which it does, then we'll be able to click close combat on literally everything else the entirety of the rest of the game. I guess not on Shiinotic, but we could just make Horn in the face too. Not really worried about it. EVs wise, we have enough speed for Nidoqueen. We live a Specs Pult Draco. I don't think we live a Specs Pult Hex guaranteed. I don't remember the base power difference. I don't know. I know I EV'd for Draco, not Hex, which I probably should have. But then we have the rest 180 in attack. Just do as much damage as humanly possible. And lastly, probably our secondary win con, we have a Rest Talk Suicune, Rockin' Out with the Rocky Helmet, Pressure as its ability, Scald, Calm Mind, Rest, and Sleep Talk, max HP, 68 defense, 188 speed, with Timid Nature. EV's wise, we got enough speed for Nidoqueen, and Rest and HP plus our defense. This is going to be our main Scizor check. We check things like Moltres, we check things like Nidoqueen. We bully things like Slowbro and Chansey, especially Chansey, and we bully Slowbro if it's not set up itself, like set up Psyshock. We should be able to beat a 1v1 pretty much every time. And this Pokemon, it is not appreciated. If he isn't tricking me a Scarf with his Rotom, if I get set up beforehand, I kind of just win the game. With Suicune as well. He does not appreciate this Pokemon, does not break it, and we pressure stall down pretty much everything on his team, which is, again, amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. But, yeah, that is basically going to be the squad. I will be right back with the battle. Alrighty, guys, here we are with the battle. Now, you see this is a post-com. And honest to God, it's because, one, I record this really early in the morning, and I feel like my commentary was lacking. It was just kind of boring, especially considering that this was a really long game. I'll hide my face cam really quick, and I'll show you. Oop, wrong one. This game is 18 minutes long. I have sped up this in post-production by 300%. This is 300% faster than the game. The actual game ended up being like a 50-minute recording, plus my usual team builder. This video would have been honestly unbearable to watch with how boring, long, and slow it was. So I decided to go a little bit more of a post-com route with this. I used to actually upload only post-coms back in Gen 7 before I had a capture card or anything like that. So let me know what you guys think of this. I feel like I can go a little bit more detailed analysis-wise and kind of go through it. Now, bear with me because I don't really remember this game all too well, because I did decide that I wanted to do a post-com until like literally tonight, and the video goes up tomorrow. So I haven't had a chance to watch through the game, but I remember a good majority of it, and I remember the main gist of it. You can see I named it RoDL, super fast. That's what I rendered it as. Cool stuff from Owen. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We can jump into team preview a little bit. You see the team that we obviously brought from the team builder. If not, go back and watch the team builder. The video's not even going to be that long. But our opponent, he ends up bringing the Slowbro, the Dragapult, the Throw, Scizor, Rotom, and Chansey. I was a bit surprised to see the Throw. I'm not too, I'm wondering definitely on why that thing ended up coming for sure. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I see that my Heracross does what my Heracross does, and it can essentially claim a KO every time it comes in if we click the right button. If he wants to make the aggressive play in a Dragapult and, try and catch me that way, it would be really unfortunate, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. And my Scarf Hydra endgame is actually pretty free, as well as my Necro endgame. And, yeah, we're just going to have to keep our Suicune healthy and our, healthy as well. Our Suicune healthy and, why am I blanking on his name? Suicune and Sylveon for the Dragapult plus the Scizor, because realistically other than that, there's not much offense that really threatens me on this team at all. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lead off with Hydreigon. Reason being is I feel like it leads well versus everything else. I don't think he has any Scarfers that are really going to outpace it. I can U-turn Gauge out if he ends up leading a Pult, like a U-turn Pult. It gives me an advantageous lead against that. I don't think he's going to be Scarf Pult. I think that would be some crazy. But regardless, we get a big U-turn on that thing, hopefully, and then get into a sufficient check and deal with his team accordingly from there. You're going to see that he leads Slowbro, and I'm actually going to elect to go for a U-turn this turn, because I don't think he's going to want to stay in and take this hit. Even if he's Culver, he doesn't really do much to me, and even statusing me doesn't seem too advantageous when I have a potential heal belt on my Sylveon. So we're going to go ahead and make the pivot out. as he actually ends up staying in, and that's really unfortunate as I don't have a great pivot into this thing other than my Hydra. So in order to kind of pivot around this thing, I don't think he's going to click a psychic move. I expect maybe an Ice Beam or a Toxic to come out, something weird like that. So I go Gengar, but we actually get Thunder Wave, and this really blows. This basically means my Gengar is absolutely useless. I'm going to shut up on this turn because he was very willing to stay in and Thunder Wave my Hydra before. As he goes hard Chansey, I'm going to take this opportunity, instead of trying to bully this thing with my sub Hex set, to go right out into Heracross and try and get my Flame Orb proc, throw off a big knockoff, maybe get up a Spike or something like that. But he makes a solid play and goes for a Teleport, getting on out of there so that he can pivot into the Dragapult, which is definitely an issue. Hex is not going to feel good from this thing. A Shadow Ball or Draco Meteor Fire move isn't going to feel good from this thing. So I think my play is literally always going to be go Sylveon, but he ends up U-turning, kind of putting me in the Vortex a little bit here, which is definitely unfortunate, but he's not gaining much ground at this point in time, as he ends up going Scizor, and this is scary because I don't want to really be put in the Vortex too bad, but I also can't risk this thing going for a U-turn and staying in, as he actually ends up doubling out into the Chansey. And I actually find this very interesting, and this is some pretty good information in the sense that since he doubled, expecting to switch, if he had U-turn, he would have clicked it. So the fact that he didn't click U-turn on that specific play basically means that he doesn't have momentum. Pretty much confirms that he's going to be like a Swords Dance set with either like Bullet Punch knockoff or like Bullet Punch Bug Bite and then like Swords Dance Roost or something like that. I'd assume Bug Bite, it wants a way to break through Suicune a little bit easier. So it's something that we're going to have to keep in mind going forward in this game. Now, next up, I'm going to go ahead and pivot up right on this Chansey. I'm actually going to go right into my Heracross once again, just because, again, I feel like if I can get it in for free, I essentially force a KO. And I'm not, again, losing much ground at this point with these switches and these plays that are happening at this point. And it's not as bad as that one game where we led and we didn't attack for like 5 turns and our opponent really wasn't gaining any ground. It was just pretty funny, and then we ended up losing our Heracross. Because I do understand why he's making these plays. He can't let in Heracross for free. It's just he's not pushing much progress by going for, you know, U-turns on my Sylveon coming in, and then I get a free Suicune on the Scizor, and he ends up doubling out to Chansey. It's really not that big of a deal. We're going to go ahead and, you know, take this U-turn. And by the way, I also calc this in the game, and I found out that that is a special Dragapult. It is timid with no attack IVs, which is, again, very good information to know. Then right here, I'm going to go right back on the Suicune. I have no reason to make any other play, as he actually ends up going for a Swords Dance. And oh baby, this is for sure scary. For sure terrifying, but what I can do is I can go for a Scald, do a good chunk of damage, potentially force a burn on this thing, and we actually find out that we're faster. And after a Bug Bite does a ridiculous amount of damage, I'm going to go for a Scald again. I don't know if Bullet Punch will take me out again from here, but I have no reason to risk this, as he actually ends up pivoting Chansey, which is definitely interesting because I feel like he could have Bug Bited me again, but then again, his Scizor would also be really low, and you'd have to worry about it from there. So since the Chansey came out, I figured this is my best opportunity to get up a rest, and it also forced him, forced a little bit of a punish for him going for Teleport, but not really, because he can kind of just go hard out into his Rotom and click Volt Switch, because I don't have a ground type this week. So I'm going to go Hydra, as it takes the least amount of damage possible. So we take a crit, we take a Thunderbolt and get crit right there, which is definitely unfortunate. But here, I should be able to U-turn. I don't think he's going to stay in, because he doesn't know my set whatsoever yet, and he still has a full health Chansey. So we'll be able to push our own progress here. And this is really good, because I'm essentially going to get a free knockoff off. The only thing that takes a hit, like takes a 2 close combats on his team, is going to be Dragapult, and knockoff will blow that backwards. But he actually elects to go hard throw, which is definitely very interesting, because I was like, I feel like this Pokemon, even if it's Fizz Def, gets to it KO'd. Regardless, not too big of a deal. I still have my full health Sylveon, as he goes right for a rest immediately at what, 60%, or 75%, or yeah, almost 80% right there, as you know, I'm going to be able to you know, get in for free here, as I am going to double out into my Heracross, expecting that Chansey to come in. And again, we're pushing progress, which is great. Now I'm going to get up a Spike, because I'm tired of him switching and pivoting for free, and this Spike is going to be great at punishing these things coming in, putting them into a KO range over time and things like that. As I can definitely feel this is going to be a very long game. It's going to be a very potentially frustrating game for my opponent, as he is going to reveal Sleep Talk, so we know he's Rest and Sleep Talk. That is the only moves we have seen up to this point. As out comes the Chansey again, I'm going to just go ahead and Hyper Voice and then go hard Heracross. He can teleport out if he wants, but then he's going to be staying below 50%. He can Seismic Toss if he wants, but then I'm really going to push a potential KO. And yeah, we're going to be in a good spot. Now I'm going to go for a knockoff here, because after a spike and a knockoff, we should be pretty close to putting this thing in range. And he's only burned 1 turn of sleep, so what I can do is I can just go hard Sylveon right here, and he's not going to be able to heal up. And the next time he comes in on a spike and a knockoff, even if he is max Fizz Def, he is going to die to a Heracross hit. 100% going to die. Now, out comes Chansey right here. It's at about 45%. But again, this thing doesn't immediately threaten me. I am getting chipped down now because of rocks and my burn on my Heracross. But again, it's doing what it's supposed to. And it's punching a hole and forcing progress on my opponent and doing a lot of damage. As out comes the throw again. Even with no item, knockoff definitely puts us very cleanly in range. I think it needed to be at like 70% for me to kill with a min roll or something like that. So we're going to go ahead and close combat. Finally pick up a KO, which is absolutely amazing. As my audio is going, right? Okay, it is. Oof, that would have sucked, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this twice. I'm talking very fast. As Pult's going to come out, we are going to be able to see that it is not heavy-duty boots, which is going to be amazing in chipping this thing down. But I do get a free Sylveon from here, as he does show Hex, and that is a bit unfortunate, because it's going to show, number 1, that he's leftovers, and 2, that this is a very spike stack-centric game. That's going to be absolutely obnoxious for me to, I mean, not spikes, a hazard spamming centric game for him. And he's going to spam specs, or he's going to spam full powered hexes and just be a general nuisance. And it's going to be very, very unfortunate. So, regardless right here, I am going to try and pivot out on my Sylveon. I don't want to let this thing get toxic. If I let my Sylveon get status, I pretty much just seal my fate versus Pult. I don't think I can very viably beat it from this point in time. Right here, I remember contemplating really heavy on if I wanted to just go for a safe Sleep Talk, or if I wanted to pivot hard Heracross and force another KO. Either force a KO or force a knockoff on this thing. I am going to go for the Sleep Talk. I figured that he would maybe go for a Seismic Toss here, expecting that I would try and get more offensive positioning on his Soft Boil, but regardless, even if he didn't, which he ended up not doing, which is fair. Keeping this thing healthy is nice. I push a lot of progress with the Suicune. It's very annoying for him. He doesn't beat it with Chansey at all. This set should always beat Chansey 1v1, or at least PB stall it down, as he is going to be able to teleport the following turn, though, into the Rotom, which is, again, definitely very unfortunate. I don't have great switch into this thing with rocks up. My Hydra, especially after getting crit that first time, is not going to appreciate coming in and taking multiple Thunderbolts and Leaf Storms and things like that. But I don't really have a choice. I think Suicune is still very good in this game, and if I can get rid of this Rotom, it literally just wins. As he's going to make a big boy play and go for Will-O-Wisp on my Switch, statusing the 4th out of 6 Pokemon on my team. Definitely unfortunate. Not the biggest deal in the world, though. I am going to U-turn on out immediately right here and go hard Heracross. I basically only have this turn to attack. I did a Rocks plus Burn after this, but I'm going to be able to get a big knockoff on something. I don't think that he's going to let me kill the Pult, but we're going to be able to knock off the Scizor, and this is huge. This is a very, very huge turn, because 1, we kill Scizor, and that's absolutely amazing for our Sylveon. I want you to look at his team, and I want you to tell me how he beats Sylveon without statusing it. Now, it's unfortunate that I'm not Heal Bell like I kind of wanted to be. I just didn't want to allow absolutely free setup on a Scizor. Worst comes to worst, if we're in a situation where we need to stop Scizor from setting up. So I wish I was Heal Bell, because we end up getting rid of the Scizor first. But since he let it go down, he cannot really break that Pokemon, and it's going to be very difficult for him to do so. Very, very difficult for my opponent to do so. And 2, my Heracross actually doesn't die to our burn that turn, which, you know, I knew beforehand, but I think it's really important to note, because now, whatever he goes into, likely Pult, is going to allow me to get free switch initiative. If he goes into this thing and he clicks Hex or any move besides U-turn to try and kill me, I get a free Sylveon and I get a free Wish, and that is amazing, because like I said, he doesn't really break through that Pokemon at this point in time. So Heracross has done its job. It gets taken out by a Hex here. Pult still looking absolutely terrifying, but regardless, I am going to be able to get to my Sylveon, and after taking rocks, just really throw up a Wish and be a general nuisance, and kind of get healthy again. I am going to have to pretty much protect on whatever wants to come in from here onwards, which is going to be the Chansey. Completely fair. And I believe I'm going to throw off a Protect this next turn, or I could, yeah, I actually Hyper Voice. I think I Hyper Voice to punish a Teleport or something like that. I have no idea. But regardless, it's just going to Soft Boil. And maybe use the save Protect PP, because I'm going to need a lot of it. Because right here, I am going to Protect and try and punish a potential Teleport so that it has to switch back in, take more Spikes damage. Completely fine in all honesty, as right here, We're going to go right out into Gengar. It's pretty darn useless at this point. It's definitely my least useful member. But if I know this Chansey set, it's likely... I don't know its fourth move, right? It's shown me... No, I do know its fourth move at this point. Since it showed me Seismic Toss, it's going to be able to not really touch my Gengar. I throw up a sub here. Now, I know that Pult can very likely come in and just hex me through my sub with Infiltrator. However, I'm okay with that because I feel like I force him into that play, and then I can go into Sylveon. Whereas if I Shadow Ball, I didn't get anything out of it. If I Focus Blast, I got a little bit of chip out of it, but realistically, it's not that big of a deal. If I'm a paralyzed Gengar in on this Pult, he's more likely to go for a U-turn than a Hex, but he actually makes a really aggressive play and goes for a U-turn on my Gengar, which is honestly fair because if I stay in, I'm going to attack with Shadow Ball, he just goes back into Chansey, teleports again, and then just has to take more Spike Chip. But that was definitely really, really smart by my opponent, going for that U-turn. Very aggressive play that definitely helped him get back in the game a little bit. My Hydra's going to come out next here, and I am in a bit of a tough spot. I actually click U-turn this play, and I feel like it might have been a little bit of an overplay. Sorry, I'm covering that. I don't know why I'm doing that. There we go. I'm actually going to click U-turn this play, and you can see he's definitely deliberating this and thinking on it and things like that. Again, I haven't shown damage. He doesn't know if I'm Specs or not, and I believe Specs would just raw Oko this thing, but I U-turn expecting him to just go Chansey. He makes the play of staying in. This is a bit unfortunate because I kind of just took chip on Hydra for no reason, and then I'm basically forced to sack off Gengar the following turn. Really not pushing much progress at all, but we do know this thing has Thunderbolt and Will-O-Wisp. I don't believe we've seen any other moves up to this point, but I believe this gives me a free switch out into my Necrozma. I know that this thing isn't, like Trick Scarf or anything like that. I don't believe he has a Scarfer on his team, and looking at this Pokemon, Chansey, and then Pult, if I get boosted up enough, I realistically can beat his team right now with Cosmic Power Necrozma, especially because I'm Rest Talk, and he doesn't really deal with that. So Thunder Wave Slowpoke is going to come back in as I Cosmic Power up again. I am going to get Thunder Wave, but again, that's fine. I'm going to Rest Up in this thing's face, and I'm going to be an absolute nuisance as this thing comes in, and this is definitely annoying, but not the biggest deal in the world, as again, I should realistically beat this thing 1v1 pretty darn easy, as I am going to go ahead and rest right here, get back up to full as a Seismic Toss is going to come out, and you see from full, I am not getting obviously 3-hit KO by that, which means I can get off 2 Sleep Talks and then a rest. 2 Sleep Talks and then a rest, and always really bully this thing, eventually stalling it out in general, and if it gets to a point where I'm getting low on Sleep Talk PP, I can just stop using Sleep Talk because I don't burn PP when I'm not attacking and I'm sleeping, so I can click realistically any other attack in between those turns and basically make sure I win a PP war against this Chansey 100% of the time. And this is kind of why, as you're seeing this game, I don't think Chansey is very good in draft. I don't think Chansey is very good in draft. I don't think Blissey is very good. I recently drafted Chansey in a league because I have a rule where if I think a mon's terrible, I'm going to draft it myself and try it. Here, let me go back actually, because these are important turns. I have a rule that if I don't draft a Pokemon, then I need to try it myself. I think that's very important, so I can't just, talk out of my ass and say, this Pokemon is terrible, and I don't think it's good, without really, getting my hands on them myself. But the reason I didn't like Chansey before, and the reason I still don't like it, is it's incredibly passive, and I feel like it's incredibly exploitable. Even if it is having a status move, even if it does have, Toxic, or it is potentially like Teleport or something like that, with Hazards up, making it inferior to Blissey this gen, obviously, with Boots being a thing. Hazards wearing it down, potential like setup Rest Talk variants, Taunt just ruins them on, Encore just ruins them on, Knockoff ruins them on, so many common things you see in Draft League and you see in the builder when you're building with your top tier threats. I don't think it's very good because it doesn't check the things it's supposed to. We've seen it's supposed to come in and check this Necrozma, as a Slowbro couldn't really check it, and it's not beating it. It's just not beating it, which is, again, very unfortunate for my opponent, but it's a Pokemon I saw in the builder, and I was excited to play. Not scared, because it's Stall Pokemon, it was honestly a genuine excitement, because I'm like, I can build in a way that I can punish this Pokemon immensely. And there wasn't enough support around Chansey to where it could really function the way it could. It's also a Pokemon I don't think you should ever draft unless you're drafting Stall, or semi-stall, or like a really, really, really bulky bounce, like teetering on the edge of stall. I just don't think it's worth it. And not just with Necrozma, we are going to see this later in the game as well. So he is going to teleport out here into the Dragapult. Now, this is also another interesting play that I'm going to pause for a second on, because you're going to see I like to switch out. I am at +2. I take, I believe, 40-ish% from a full-powered Hex at +2. And if I get hit with a Hex, I can obviously Sleep Talk, and if I get a Stored Power, this thing dies, I win the game outright. However, I don't think it's in my best odds to do so. Why? Because I think that if I get bad Sleep Talk turns and I get 3-hit KO'd, I lose the game. I lose my best win con. I don't lose the game. I have to win via timer or Suicune. And I just don't think that's very advantageous for me at this point in time, especially when I still have a full health Sylveon, and especially when I feel I'm forcing him into a Hex and forcing him into a position where he needs to click Hex and get good Sleep Talk rolls, or he just auto loses the game. So I feel comfortable in setting up my Necrozma later on against a Chansey, against a Slowbro, or something like that, and then when I'm awake, taking that Dragapult hit and killing it with Stored Power, not having to risk sleep because I can rest and Sleep Talk on literally everything else and just win the game. So I feel like it's not my best interest to do so. I'm going to go hard Sylveon here, as I feel like he is forced to Hex. I feel like it's by far his best play. He definitely isn't U-turning, as he actually Draco Meteors, and I wish I stayed in now because I won the game because he clicked Draco Meteor. He would not have been able to break through me without a crit at that point, which is incredibly unfortunate. But what are you going to do? It's not the biggest deal in the world. But I would have very much so preferred to live with win with my Necrozma. It would have been much better. As he is going to Soft Boiled here, definitely unfortunate, but what I can do is I can go ahead and get off a Sleep Talk turn and burn a turn of sleep. This is my first of 2, allowing me to hopefully wake up later and be a genuine nuisance. He is going to teleport here for sure, as we get rest right here. Unfortunately, we didn't get Cosmic Power. We would have maybe put a little bit more pressure on that Dragapult, but we're going to have to switch out on it coming in anyways. So again, completely fine with me. We're going to see my Sylveon's still pretty darn healthy, but I elect to sack off my Suicune here, as I feel like Necrozma is the better Rest Talk Swin Con, especially with this thing being able to throw off big Hexes and, again, be a big nuisance. He tries to Will-O-Wisp me, which, I did, that is definitely a more solid play than him U-turning the entire game. I feel like he should have maybe made that call early on, opposed to making that call right there, because if he could pressure me with full powered Hexes the whole game, I think this play is a lot different. So he's going to go ahead and Hex me. I live, I go for a Sculpt, I don't get the burn, but you're going to see he actually elects to kill me off with U-turn, and that's big, and I feel like that's kind of a misplay on my opponent's part, because not only did he take Rocky Helmet, that means he has to come back in and take a Spike afterwards, which is, again, better for me, in all honesty. 100% better for me. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm actually going to elect to go into my Hydreigon. I'm going to take Rocks. I'm going to take Burn after this. I'm going to die to any one hit. I just go for a Flamethrower. He stayed in last time. I think he's going to stay in again. I get a ton of chip off on this Rotom, basically putting it in range of everything on my team. And I know I only have 2 Pokemon opposed to my opponent's 4. I know I only have those 2. However, I feel like I'm in a position where my opponent cannot break through my core anymore. And if you look up at the corner, after this turn, you're going to notice something about the timer. You're going to notice something that you might have noticed if you're watching this game live when it was taking a long time. He has 33 seconds left, and I have 2 minutes left. Now, do I think I can win this game on my own with Necrozma? Yes, provided I get good Sleep Talk warns, I really do think I can win. However, I think I can secure this game and guaranteed win, provided I just stay in and Wish Protect with Sylveon. He lost his only Pokemon that could ever break this thing, and I have so much more PP than he does. I have so much more time, and I have very simple plays and very simple clicks. All I have to do is click Hyper Voice, Wish, Protect, maybe a Mystical Fire to save some PP here and there, and that's it, the entire game. Now, is that the most fun way to win? No. I know it's not the most entertaining way to win the game, and I know it's not entertaining for my opponent. I do apologize, but at the end of the day, this is Pokemon, and you know, this is a competitive game where we're both trying to win, and I'm going to take my safest win con, and my safest way out. So that's what we're really going to do. I know this Chansey doesn't have Toxic. I know this thing doesn't have Toxic. I know it has Will-O-Wisp, so I feel much more comfortable in doing so. The Rotom's going to reveal Pain Split as its next move, likely Leaf Storm as its final move, as I can just Protect here. Again, in between turns, I have no reason to ever just not Protect. I am going to go for a Wish, and now that I see, you know, Will-O-Wisp come out, I know that I have to stay out of range of a Dragapult Hex. That is my way of guaranteed winning this game, and even with, you know, a Wisp coming off, I can definitely do so. And if the Dragapult wants to come in and Hex me, as long as I live the hit and kill it with Hyper Voice, I still win the game. I just win it with Necrozma instead, and it's a 1-0. Or, you know, a 1 Pokemon left timer win. As you see, he's at 26 seconds. He's going to Pain Split. And again, he can't really afford to make these plays. I can afford to make these plays. 100% can afford to make these plays. The only thing that is really, really scaring me in this point in the time is if he starts going for Thunderbolts and wises up, starts going for Thunderbolts and gets a para. Then the game comes down to paras. But he actually likes a Will-O-Wisp here, which is honestly better for me. Again, I just need to ensure that I stay out of range of a Dragapult Hex. Provided I stay out of range of that move, which I can be pretty healthy and still take that move. I can be pretty low, and still take that move, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. I will win this endgame for sure. As he's going to start going for Thunderbolts, I actually start going for Mystical Fires, which I should have been doing earlier, to be completely honest. Save some Hyper Voice PP, and start lowering this thing's special attack towards doing even less, and I can stay even healthier as this game goes on. As he's going to Thunderbolt once again, and again, I don't even have to worry about him pairing me anymore or anything like that, to where I can really just kind of position myself really, really well for this endgame. So we're going to Mystical Fire here. He can go ahead and or Pain Split if he wants. He actually likes to go out into Omelet, and at this point, I think the game is sealed. I don't think that there's much he can do. As long as I don't completely fumble the bag when it comes to my timer, I do win. For sure, because he just didn't get in his Dragapult quick enough. I'm going to go ahead and Wish here. I do have to make sure I'm staying healthy on an aggressive Dragapult turn coming in, because that is my lose condition, I guess, not my win condition. My win condition is staying as healthy with Sylveon as I can, as he's only at 10 seconds left, so I am going to be forced to Protect here, get back up, and I believe I just Wish this next turn, because if I Wish, I have 2 turns with Mystical Fire into Protect, opposed to just 1 turn to Wish and then Protect. You know, it's just a little bit more safe in case he makes that hard play a little bit sooner. But we're just going to go for a Mystical Fire here. I have no reason to try and damage this thing, try and crit through it. I don't need to, because he has less time than me, and, you know, the game awards the victor to the, you know, the guy who has the least amount of time. So what I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to spare you guys the theatrics. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. I think this is right where it about happens. As we're going to see, I click Protect on this final turn. I think this is the final turn. Don't like when this comes up. Don't like when this comes up. Yep, 2 seconds left, so I believe it's just 1 more Wish and 1 more Protect. And the game realistically should be over for us here. So, yeah, 1 second. And yeah, again, GG to my opponent. Again, I know that this isn't the most fun way to win. He was a really good sport about it as well. He wasn't upset with me or anything like that at all, which I really do appreciate. And again, I understand this is a tough way to lose, but I think it's a part of the game is timer management, especially in this generation where the timer is a bit different. It's not a total timer. It's a timer based on you and how quick you are playing. And I think that land timer obviously sucks in the sense that it's hard to set up, but I think chess timer is actually really solid, and I actually like the system that it implements in the sense that it's all based on your own play, not your opponent dictating it. And, you know, dictating how slow the game goes and stuff like that, because there's not much you can do about that on Gen 7. If your opponent takes 60 minutes, or Gen 6 too, if your opponent takes 60 seconds to make their move, that comes off of your overall time too. Not just theirs, your overall time. Whereas in this, I was rewarded for clicking a little bit faster. My opponent lost track of time, especially in the early game. They took a lot of time in between a lot of those doubles and those switches and those U-turns and things like that. And I wasn't taking as much time because I wasn't feeling super pressured. And I think this game was also a really good showcase of not only timer management, but why these more passive Pokemon have pretty steep downsides to them. While they can be very annoying for certain teams to break, and especially people who don't build for them sufficiently, they're very tough to beat. I think mons like, you know, like the Mega Sableye Chansey Noob Killer Core from Gen 7 would beat a lot of people because they didn't know how to deal with it otherwise. They're like, I can't status the bulky Pokemon, I can't beat them. But they do have their downsides, for sure. And I think this game kind of showcased that a little bit. Why I don't like Chansey, and it's not that Chansey doesn't work, and people don't make Chansey work. You definitely can in Draft League. That's what makes the format fun. But regardless, at the end of the day, it is exploitable if your team isn't supporting it sufficiently, and if your opponent, you know, builds for it accordingly. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I know it's a little bit different with the post-comp, but let me know what you guys think, this more analysis type content, if you guys like this kind of stuff. I would totally be down to do more stuff like this, because I think, I enjoy watching post-comps more than I like watching live comps, personally, just because I enjoy that analytical side of the game. But if you like the real-time interactions a little bit more from me, definitely let me know. That's today's question of the day. I'll probably talk about it on the Teambuilder too. I haven't recorded the Teambuilder yet. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed, sub if you're new, and go check out my opponent in the description below. I'll find out if they upload. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.